I get woke up Thanksgiving morning, and it's a reporter, and they said, do you realize that you have the Fraternal Order of Police in a nationwide boycott against you? And the Fraternal Order of Police were the ones that were going to receive all the money from the concert.
Right.
But they were angry that the judge had said, okay, I'm going to give you a slap on the hand. You can do a concert. Well, the bad thing is James Brown didn't put it together. He was supposed to, but he didn't. It fell on me. James Brown left the country, and I took on the feat of putting together this huge concert. Now, this is what's very interesting. Where was Reverend Al Sharpton?
Good question.
He's the promoter. He's the son of James Brown, as he told the world. I've got a freaking police boycott against me and James Brown, and where's his son? Well, I'm going to tell you where his son was. This was 88.
Okay, Sharpton was he was in pretty good power in those days. He had a nice street team. I'm
going to tell you where he was, okay? He was up there doing his Tawana Brawley case.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Now he comes down and sits down with James Brown. And listen, I heard these conversations, okay?
Okay.
And he wanted James Brown to come up there and get in the Tawana Brawley mess. But you know what? James Brown looked at him and he said, I don't believe it. I'm not getting involved in it. Something stinks here. And Reverend Al Sharpton was on a spiral to take down Stephen Pagonis.
Right.
A massive spiral. Well, I'm going to give you a little insight today. Okay?
Okay.
This has never been released to the world. And I'm going to release it on your show.
All right, let's do it.
Stephen Pagonis was my friend.
Okay, really? You knew Stephen Pagonis before this?
Stephen Pagonis and I have been friends for years.
Okay.
And this was probably one of the most, during 1988, while Mr. Brown was going insane and Mr. Sharpton was coming in and out, the day that I got brutally taken to the woods, April 1st, 1988, was the day that they were indicting them up there in New York for the Tawana Brawley case.
Wait, that's when indicting. You mean that's when Al Sharpton was being sued?
No, that is in 1988 when they were trying to indict Stephen Pagonis for the rape of Tawana Brawley.
Right. Al Sharpton was trying to get an indictment.
And I was taken to the woods and brutally raped and tortured.
Okay.
And on the day that I got raped, Al Sharpton had met James Brown at the Green Jacket earlier that day.
The Green Jacket in Georgia?
In Augusta, Georgia, yes.
Okay.
James Brown had planned a meeting for 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, something like that, and he had met with Al Sharpton earlier that day. When I walked out of the office with James Brown and Buddy Dallas, we were there on the trust, negotiating, finalizing everything on the trust, the I Feel Good Trust. And, of course, James Brown, I put my tapes and everything that I had carried, my songs that he had listened to that day. He was totally coherent when he was in the meeting with me and Buddy Dallas. He did become a little irate. It was not on drugs. He was not on drugs. He got mad at Buddy Dallas because during this he said in front of me when we were talking about if he died, what he wanted when he died, and he said, I want everything to go into the I Feel Good Trust. Everything. And Mr. Dallas interjected as a lawyer and said, but Mr. Brown, as your lawyer, I have to advise you that you do have children. This is the first time I'd ever seen James Brown show any, just outward mania. He became like a praying mantis. He jumped over the desk. I was sitting in a chair, and he came over the desk, and he went at Buddy Dallas, and he went at his throat. And Buddy was sitting on a couch. Oh, I will never forget it. And he went at Buddy like he was going to choke him, and Buddy's face was really red. And he said, Mr. Dallas, don't you ever tell me what to do with my money. I am not giving one penny to those kids because I've given them an education. I have brought them up, and I will be damned if they're going to use me as a stepping stone into the future. The sheer fact that they are the children of James Brown, they have been highly educated, is enough for them. He was adamant. Yes.
Was Buddy, I'm here. Was Buddy like a physically big guy, that he could fight with Brown, or was he like an old man?
Oh, gosh. No. James Brown was a very, I guess you would say, physically strong man. He was a boxer. He had very, very strong arms. He was very, and of course, I saw the side of him through the rape, and of course, I will never be the same. I suffered from PTSD and Stockholm syndrome, and I'll never be the same after that night. And
do you feel like that you can explain to us and describe to us about the attack?
I'll try to do the best I can.
Okay, we have about 4 minutes before the big break. I was telling you about that nice long break. So now, from what I'm understanding, you had this meeting. James Brown started to attack his attorney. Then James Brown went to meet Al Sharpton at a hotel or something.
No, he had met Al Sharpton prior to coming into the meeting with us. He had been with Al Sharpton that whole day.
Gotcha.
And then he came in to meet us on the I Feel Good Trust.
Okay.
And we were basically, Buddy had a yellow notepad. I'll never forget it. I mean, I will never forget this because I still have the piece of paper where James Brown said, this is the name I want to call her, and he wrote it down on the piece of paper, and he was talking about the children, his own children, and that's when James Brown interjected to Buddy, and Buddy's face was so red. I'll never forget it. I mean, the fear in his face. And I was just taken back. And that's when Mr. Brown turned around and looked at me, and he said, go get me Brunswick stew and get you some, too. And he said, go to the little shack, the Brunswick stew shack down the road, and pick me up some Brunswick stew. And he looked at Mr. Dallas, and he said, do you want some? And Mr. Dallas was like, no, thank you. And I think this was the first time Buddy Dallas had ever seen his client in that manner.
Right.
But I will say this, he was not at that time, to my knowledge, and I don't think to Buddy's knowledge, high on anything. I think it was just a display of anyone telling him what to do with his money. James Brown knew every penny he had. You could not try to mess him over or steal money from him because he knew everything. Yes.
Oh, we got the break coming up. This is that nice long break I was telling you about. So just take a little break, and we'll come back after this. We're with Jacque Hollander, who was partners with James Brown. She has all kind of information about Al Sharpton and Michael Jackson. Who knows what else? She has a horrific story we're going to be getting into about how she was brutally attacked, and maybe we'll discuss it, maybe we won't. It's up to her. But it's part of her big lawsuits that she has going on and stuff like that. So we'll be back after this break. Don't forget, it's freedomslips.com. If you want to support this station, you go to freedomslips.com, you click on the donate button. This is the Opperman Report, Revolution Radio, and we'll be back right after this with Jacque Hollander and the real James Brown story. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. Every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, listener-sponsored radio. If you like what you hear, visit freedomslips.com and click on the donate button. We are simulcast on CJ Mars Radio and 365 Live. And tonight, and also we started out on shoutcast.com. During the week, awakeradio.us, hazyradio.com, Firehorse Radio, and Shake and Wake Radio on Thursday nights coming up. Find the Opperman Report YouTube channel. Listen to our old shows, our new shows, all that kind of stuff. Tonight we have Jacque Hollander. And, Jacque, you there?
Yes.
Okay, Jacque, I know we're getting to a tough part of the story, you know? And I really want to thank you for coming on the show and really bearing your soul. I know it's a tough week for you because with the opening of the movie and stuff, I'm sure it's bringing up a lot of memories.
Oh, gosh.
I can imagine, okay? And,
yeah.
I'm here with you. What can you tell us about what happened with the attack?
Well, I came back with the Brunswick stew, and we finished up our meeting, and I'll never forget it. Mr. Brown asked me if I wanted to ride with him to see a Volkswagen Rabbit he was having redone for his. And I've since later learned that was Yama Brown. For years, I kept telling the story of the Volkswagen Rabbit, and nobody would confirm to me who it was. But, of course, his son did. And I think it's important that before I get into that,
okay.
And I know we only have an hour left, and I think it's very important for your listeners to know, I am 100% the partner of the I Feel Good Trust. It has been in litigation for 8 long years. Not one penny has gone to one needy child. Hundreds of millions of dollars were designated for the poor and needy. It was hijacked basically from the time he died. Buddy Dallas was removed as a trustee and accused of wrongdoing without any hearing or anything. They have kept me out of court. We have gone to Chicago, of course, dismissed for wrong jurisdiction. Los Angeles, of course, dismissed for wrong jurisdiction. South Carolina, which is so corrupt, keeps keeping me out. We are in the appellate court in South Carolina right now as we speak. There is a wonderful reporter who has diligently attacked them and gone for Freedom of Information Acts because they have lied to the IRS. They have falsified paperwork. They have refused to let anybody see how much money is in the trust. This is all involving a trust fund for the poor and needy children.
Let me ask you a question. Wait, who came in and snatched up the trust, and how were they able to do this?
Well, I'll tell you how it started. And I know that this is going to sound very peculiar. I am his victim, but I am also his partner in this trust.
Okay.
And I should have standing, and I should be allowed to see that this trust be done the way it was supposed to have been done. And James Brown was murdered. He did not die of a heart attack. He died of a lethal overdose of drugs in the hospital.
What kind of drugs?
He did not die of pneumonia like they said. It was covered up. He was the only, and this is very, very interesting. Here he is, this worldwide known black man, okay? They refused to do an autopsy on him. The doctor wanted the autopsy done because he was fine and he was fixing to be released from the hospital. And at 10 o'clock, he was seen by his physician. I have talked and spent several hours on the phone with his physician. And he was scheduled to be released. Now, here's what is so interesting. During